All right. So we talked last week about LinkedIn, and we talked about a little bit about how it's a place for to drive thought leadership, and it really is, regardless of what industry you work in or what you do in your career. LinkedIn is the spot to build your brand. And as I said, I'm literally interviewing candidates right now, and I'm looking at their LinkedIn. I'm looking to see, are they active? Do they have a perspective on anything? Do they have a point of view? And so, in doing that, the first thing that you need to do in LinkedIn is optimize your profile. And so, I'm going to walk through my profile. I know I asked many of you to, look at my profile and replicate it as best you can, but I'm going to talk through some of this stuff because I think it's important to kind of explain the what and the why. And so some of you have not connected with me on LinkedIn, so not a big deal, but that's a very easy request and it was your homework assignment. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm not keeping track, right? I'm not like taking notes, but connect with me on LinkedIn because it's going to be a place for us to share each other's content, amplify each other's content, engage with each other's content. So it starts out with my profile, right? This is my profile. It's public, meaning anybody can go to my profile, even if we're not connected. There's different settings in the privacy settings that you can limit certain things, right? If you don't want your profile photo to show up with second or third degree connections, you can do that. I like to leave it open because I want to make sure that I'm as accessible as possible. Meaning, if an opportunity came for new business or a consulting opportunity, I want to be able to be found. I want to be able to be found and be contacted easily. And so when you have a lot of settings on your LinkedIn, it makes it hard for people to connect with you. So if we're not connected and you go to my profile, this is what you're going to see. Okay. If we are connected, you'll see this as well. So this is the background image. And this is, let me admit somebody real quick. How do I do this? Participants. Okay. Okay. So here we go. So this is the background image. And, as I showed you last week, Jennifer's profile, it could be anything you want. It could, if you're interested in sunsets or sports, I mean, this is a professional environment, but we're still human beings. So put whatever you want in here. Don't leave it blank. It appears to be lazy when you leave it blank, right? Because it's easy to just literally steal an image off Google and put it there. My profile photo is something I took back in 2013. And I'm one of those people that I'm not very photogenic. So whenever I take a good photo, I hold on to it as long as possible. So this has another couple years left that I can use it, but I'm gonna have to take it again. A couple of you emailed me and asked me about profile photos. Look, it doesn't have to be like, professional, or you don't have to go spend a lot of money to get it done. A nice iPhone, a nice Android with flash or whatever works, and up against a brick wall or any type of wall, blank wall or outside. As long as it's not like a bathroom selfie, like don't do that. I see it still today. Students who are trying to get jobs and literally a bathroom selfie as their profile photo. I mean, look, I don't judge, but that's just lazy. So don't do that. Right here, this is my name, obviously, but right here, I'm going to highlight this. This is your headline. Now, we're going to talk a lot about headlines in this class because headlines are what drive action. Okay. Meaning if you can articulate a word or a group of words and precisely with some, and concisely, and with some humor or some action, you're going to drive action based on what it is you want to do, whether it's an ad or a tweet or a status update. Everything that you do, you should think in headlines. That's the only way to grab the attention of someone looking at your profile or your content within a feed. And so I wrote this. This is not my title of where I work. So my title is down here. And this is the misconception. This is what I do. This is how I define myself at Zeno. Okay. Up here, this is how I sell myself to people. And the reason why is if I go to, let me just pull up another window. If I'm in LinkedIn and I'm a recruiter, and I told you last week, my wife's a recruiter, and I was looking for a PR, PR intern. Okay. Notice in the search results, what do you see? Right? You see Rudy Lopez, you see Sophie, and you see LinkedIn member. Okay. That is somebody right there who has their security settings super high and strict. So Sophie and Rudy, those are their headlines. So think of Google and the search results. right? When you go to Google, you see, the little blue clickable text and you see a little description underneath. That is what this is. So it's important that you, hold on, let me go back. Here we go. So it's important that you write it in a way that is captures the attention of your audience. Now, I put a couple things, right? I put EVP, it's what I do, digital analytics. I work for Zeno Group. I put my Twitter handle. I put the fact that I was a TEDx speaker. I'm a digital OG, meaning I've been doing this for before many of you were probably born. And I'm also an adjunct professor at San Jose State. So it's a lot. It's not a sentence. It's not like a paragraph or anything like that. And I use these little separator lines. You don't have to use the separator lines. I do. Some people use hyphens. Some people use bullet points. Some people just put commas. The important thing to remember is use words that you want to sell yourself by. Okay. So part of this class next week or the week after, you're going to be focusing on a narrative, and a narrative is basically the North Star of something. And you're going to write a personal narrative, a personal brand statement, which really defines who you are. And that's what a lot of brands do today, right? For Nike, they build narratives around their campaigns and programs. And that's what informs a lot of the content and the ads and the videos. So you're going to be doing it for yourself because it's that important. Now, scrolling down here a little bit, one thing, actually, this is very important. Look at my mouse, upper right-hand corner, edit public profile and URL. Okay. So I'm going to click on that and notice right up here where my mouse is. Okay. Many of you don't have a unique URL, which I can go in here and I could change this to anything I want. Okay. But I'm going to use my first and last name. That's who I am. And if, if you're John Smith or whoever, whoever got it first that's who they are. So you need to put something unique here. Okay. If you have a very common name, it might be John Smith 22, unfortunately, or John Smith 23, but make that unique URL. It's very important you do that. Otherwise, it's like linkedin.com/12345 John Smith, right? It's ugly, right? So you want to be as beautiful as possible when it comes to your LinkedIn profile. Now, right down here, notice my about. This is about me, okay? Now, notice here I have very short paragraphs. You're going to be learning how to write in short paragraphs. For those of you who are journalists, and as I said, PR folks, take anything you learned as it relates to writing and throw it out the door as it relates to this, because we're not following any MLA format here. There's no one right way to do this. I have here's another headline that I wrote: Digital OG, building brands online since Al Gore invented the internet. I get so many compliments for that. And it was literally like a rumor back in the day, and I just ran with it that he invented the internet. So I notice here in my about section, it flows, right? I'm talking about what I am and what I do. There's a little bit of personal things in here, like 49ers and Lakers fan. Now I'm writing in the first person. I'm saying I. Now, some people do, Michael was a digital strategist, or Michael, is a 49er fan, or Mr. Breed, things like that. That's your choice. Okay. First person or third person. I prefer first person because it's just a little bit more me, and third person sounds too formal and conservative. So you don't have to do that. You do what's right for you. Now, notice in these paragraphs, I have certain keywords. I'm going to highlight these keywords as an example. So I'm going to I'm going to highlight digital strategist, marketing, communications, editorial content, targeted paid media, public relations. Down here, I have where I've submitted bylines. I have some other strengths and other things that kind of are relevant to me. Now, there's a reason why I do this, right? Because the specialties down here, you don't have to add that. Right? That is an option. But notice I put very distinct and descriptive kind of keywords down here. And the reason why I do that is because when recruiters or, prospects are looking for a consultant or an agency, they are looking and they are using these keywords in their search. So if you don't have public relations in anywhere in your profile, you will never show up when somebody is searching for a PR intern, or, an intern at San Jose State, or, you insert the keyword that you want. There's hundreds of keywords, but you need to add it into your profile, and you need to do it in a way that doesn't seem spammy, right? So if you read this, it flows. I purposely added certain keywords, but it flows. Okay. So that is your goal, is to figure out how you can do the same thing. Now down here, this is featured content. This is content that I have published and uploaded. Now you can upload anything. You can upload PDF documents. You can upload videos. If any of you have written an article that's published online somewhere, you can add the link here and it'll pull in the image from the article and it'll show up. This is your opportunity to sell your work. So, my daughter's a sophomore at UC Santa Barbara, and she was a part of this thing in high school called DECA, which was this business it was for students, high school students around business. And she did this marketing plan, and it was solid. It was good. And so she has hers right here. It's a project. It's not a real thing, but it showcases her work. So it could be anything. These are all videos. More over to the right. Let me see who's coming into class. Jesus. Can you guys still hear me? Thumbs up. Everybody? Okay, cool. All right. So down here, these are all the things I've uploaded. I used to upload articles. I have written an article on Adweek and I dropped it in here. It's up to you on how you want to do that. But I like the videos. It links straight to my YouTube channel. Down here, hold on a second. Okay. Down here, this is private. This is basically for you to find out who's stalking you, right? So I can click on here and say who's viewed my profile, right? And it'll show me. It also shows me like just basic data points, right? How many video views on my last upload, how many search appearances when people are searching for, keywords relevant to what's in my profile. And here's my activity. Now this is very important. This is how active you are in LinkedIn. Okay. So I'm looking at this as if I were not me, right? This isn't me looking at my profile. This is somebody else looking at my profile, and they could see that I've commented on something, I've commented on something, I've commented on something, and I've commented on something. Now I told you, well, maybe I told you, maybe I didn't. I've said this hundreds of times before though, that what I do is every morning I spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes scrolling through LinkedIn. And I like, comment, share, like, comment, share, like, comment, share. Then later in the afternoon, I come back and I get a ton of goodness back. A lot of people engaging back with me, right? So if I were to click see all, this is going to show me all of my activity right up here. So this is visible to as on a public profile. So this is all my activity. These are the articles that I've published. Right? Now, there's a difference between articles and posts, and we're going to talk about that after our guest speaker. But there's articles that I've published, and there's posts that I've published. Okay? And there's also documents that I've uploaded. So PDF documents, ebooks, things like that. And I'm going to walk through each of these as a way for you to, again, think about building your brand based on maybe projects that you have already completed, right? You just need to maybe save it as a PDF or just upload it to your profile. All right, so going back to my profile here. So this is my activity. Now you get into work experience. Now, the great thing about LinkedIn is you can add media anywhere you want. Like right here, I have featured media, right? There's a whole section for that. Again, any work that you want to showcase would go here. Down here in the bottom, I have my experience, and this is what I've done at Zeno. So notice I have very short paragraphs. I created these bullet points, right? They're just emojis that you insert in. And it's very descriptive. Again, it's very focused on keywords, but it is stuff that I do. And it's very easy to read, right? So when you're optimizing your profile, if you have a big like lump of words, like a paragraph, it's very difficult for people to kind of skim through. That's why when I look at resumes, as an example, I like to see bullet points under experience, not paragraphs, because I don't know what to do, right? There's too much going on. So the more that you can bullet things out and separate it in short sentences, the better, okay? Now down here, these are additional media. So this is specific to Zeno, and this is an ebook that we put together a couple years ago, and you can, hold on. And this is an article. So it's just a link basically. So if I click view, it's going to go off to Adweek, and there is my article. Okay, but it looks cool, right? If you think about the actual profile, so it pulls in that photo from the article, and it appears like this, right? It's called metadata, right? So anything related to San Jose State, all of your classroom projects, you upload there. Okay, if you've done any work around volunteer work and it's applicable, upload it under where you put volunteers or where you put your volunteer as experience. If you're a babysitter or you've done babysitting, don't add that to LinkedIn. Okay. If you work in a restaurant or retail, I would add it to LinkedIn, but be creative on how you explain what you do, right? If you're a waiter or a waitress, or I don't even know what they're, food server, I don't know what they're called today, or, a hostess, say you're a customer experience agent or a customer service person, because that's what you do, right? You are serving customers, right? So you can be kind of creative in how you describe the work that you do. Now, going down here, this is just all of my experience, right? I put the fact that, where I teach, right? So I teach San Jose State, Golden Gate University, and I think Berkeley's up there somewhere. There we go. And my experience. Okay. So it's a lot, right? And yours isn't going to be this full, but as you get experience and you progress in your career, you're going to just add to this. Okay. Here's something interesting. Like, here's my degrees, right? St. Mary's. Now, the thing about this is, honestly, I'm sorry, I did not learn a lot in college, only because when I was going to college, it was hold on, where'd I go? Digital was so like there wasn't a lot of it. So the classes that I took weren't very applicable. And so, but for you, any classes that you take, like this class, you're going to want to put, you edit this and describe what it is you do. Okay. Learned paid media, learned influencer marketing, learned analytics, whatever we talk about in this class, if I were you, I would put it in your profile. Okay. So volunteer experience, I was a head coach. Hello. Okay. 10-year-olds, 9-10-year-olds, YMCA went undefeated. Hey, that's my claim to fame. You can put that here. It shows character. It shows the fact that you're not, you can serve others, right? So that's a good characteristic to have as a candidate. Now here's where it gets interesting, right? So these are skills. Now, these are skills that you add to your profile. So in the LinkedIn section, when you edit it, you add skills that you think you're good at, or that you want to get good at. Honestly, like if you're not the greatest writer, but you want to be a writer, put writing in here. Now, I put a lot. So I'm going to just show you what I've done. These are all of the skills that I put probably 15 years ago. Okay. And some of them are, there's digital marketing, blogging, and this is how many people have endorsed me, right? So endorsing is easy. It's just literally a click of a button, right? It's not a recommendation. There's a difference. It's a click of a button. So if I click on this, it'll show me all the people. There have been 828 people who've endorsed me for social media marketing. Okay. This is not for bragging rights. And I honestly don't even look at this when I'm hiring people. I look more at the written recommendations, because again, I can literally just go to anybody's profile and endorse them. I've been endorsed for things I don't do, which is stupid, right? So as an example, organizational design. I don't even know why I added that in my profile, yet 21 people have endorsed me. I don't even know what that is. Or let's see. Hustle. A couple of years ago, we were talking about, this idea of, you got to hustle. So one of my students had basically endorsed me for a skill I didn't have. And I got the notification and I just added it to my profile. And then I've been, endorsed by 25 other people on that. So again, think about what it is you do, what you're good at. If you're good at Photoshop, add Photoshop. If you use Canva, put graphic design. If you're good at using media monitoring software, for those of you who've used it before, add that in here. Okay. The more you add, the better. You have to be as thorough as possible when filling these out. Now that's a lot different than recommendations. Okay. These are written recommendations by people that you've worked with, or have worked for you, or have worked with you, or that you've worked for, right? So it could be a student, two students recommending each other. It could be me recommending a student, or vice versa. Now, one thing that you're going to notice here is that I've given more recommendations than I've received. Okay. And I don't care. I mean, I give recommendations to the people who I think deserve it. Now, that was earlier in my career. Now, what I ask is, there are 35 people in class. I will write you all recommendations, 100%, assuming you don't flake, or, that you're obviously, you don't care, or you're not attending class. But But the only thing that I ask is this: if you want a recommendation from me, you write me one first. Because what'll happen is you'll write me a recommendation and then it'll prompt me to say, okay, do you want to recommend him or her back? And I will do that. So I've done that with all my students. And, and some who have asked me for recommendations, they suck. I just kind of ignore it. It's kind of awkward, very uncomfortable situation. So let me see who's joining I think that might be, yep, that's her. So we're going to have her wait for a minute. All right. So these are recommendations. Again, very useful. Read, ask for these in many cases. In some cases, if it's a fellow student or a colleague, you can ask for it. But if it's somebody like a mentor, or if it's a manager or a professor, you write them one first. That's just common courtesy. Any publications that you have. So these are ebooks that I've been involved in and have participated in or written myself. My books are in here as well. Any awards you've received. So if any of you work in the San Jose State campus or campus agency, and you guys have won awards and stuff like that, you can add that here. So I have 3 awards here. You can also add, any projects you've done or language. Okay. So I totally breezed through this. I went super quick, and we're going to jump back into this after our session. So I'm going to stop recording. And